goes to the sacred pit with commandments of brisket, their souls will live. Oh, that night grew dark when the bikers roared. A lone man challenged what they stood for. The seat stood firm, brisket's grace. That's a flames of tension lit up the place. Glory, glory, the brisket's divine. The brotherhood rise with a will to shine. Iron to bleeds with a heart of steel to pass down crosses the battle is real. The brotherhood gathered from fire in their soul. The brisket hotel where the stories unfold. They planned and they feasted, their bonds held tight, but the holy brisket's loud and tuned in the night. Glory, glory, the brisket's divine. The brotherhood ride to the will to shine. Two courses now march on the board of fire, and the land is smoke when stakes go high.
In the heart of rural Texas, tensions between the Holy Brisket and the Brisket Brotherhood simmer like the coals of a long smoldering fire. As the Brotherhood prepares to challenge the Holy Brisket, a letter arrives at the Brisket Hotel Oasis, setting the stage for a confrontation that will test the limits of resolve, tradition, and loyalty. Iron Duke, Roxy, and Tank sit in the dimly lit bar of the Brisket Hotel Oasis, tension hanging in the air like smoke. The room is small, filled with the scent of tobacco and old leather, the light from a single bulb casting long shadows on the walls. Iron Duke, reading aloud, voice growing angrier.
We don't have time for games. Our mission is to grow our movement, not waste energy on petty rivalries. Scaring us like that was wrong. Leave us alone. Zeke.
A heavy fist slams down on the wooden table, instantly silencing the room. The only sound that follows is the faint clink of ice rattling in a glass, still trembling from the impact. Iron Duke, furious.
Who the hell do they think they are? Dismissing us like we're nothing. We offered them a fair chance to settle this, and they throw it back in our faces.
Roxy, calming yet firm.
Duke, hold up. We gotta think this through. If we fly off the handle, we might push this too far, and that won't end well for anyone.
Tank, leaning back, grinning slightly.
Or maybe it's time to stop playing nice. Hit 'em where it hurts. Supplies, facilities. Make sure they know we ain't backing down.
The Brotherhood murmurs in agreement, though a few uneasy glances are exchanged. As they deliberate their next move, the air thickens with tension, the flickering bulb above casting a wavering light over their hardened faces. In a dimly lit room upstairs, the Brotherhood gathers around a table covered with maps and plans. The walls are adorned with old photos and memorabilia, reminders of past victories and the camaraderie they've shared over the years. The scent of tobacco lingers in the air, mixing with the faint smell of motor oil. Iron Duke, determined, tracing a finger over a map.
We start small. Hit their supply lines first, cut off their resources, make it damn near impossible for them to keep up with their grand rituals. Then, if they still don't get the message, we target their facilities. No violence, just disruption.
Roxy, cautious but with an edge of resolve.
Yeah, but we gotta be smart about it. Any sign of aggression, and the law might come sniffing around. We need to be quick, quiet, and leave no trace they can use against us.
As the Brotherhood nods in agreement, Tank hesitates, his eyes narrowing as he looks at the map. The shadows cast by the dim light seem to weigh heavier on him than the others. Tank, reluctant but voicing his concern.
This ain't our style, Duke. We've always been about respect, keeping our heads down and letting the meat do the talking. Feels like we're crossing a line here.
Iron Duke sighs, then responds firmly.
I hear you, Tank. But they've made it clear they ain't gonna respect us unless we show 'em we mean business. Sometimes you gotta get your hands dirty to protect what's yours.
The room falls into a heavy silence, the weight of the decision settling over them like a thick fog. Despite the agreement, A sense of unease lingers, especially with Tank, who knows this could change everything. Within the heart of the Holy Brisket community lies the Brisket Oracle, a revered pitmaster named Amos. The small, smoke-filled hut is adorned with worn-out banners, tattered scriptures, and the lingering aroma of decades of slow-smoked meat. Followers gather, hushed in awe, as they present their brisket cuts to Amos, seeking guidance through the divine marbling. Follower, reverently.
Oracle Amos, please guide us. What does the divine marbling reveal?
Amos's fingers move slowly over the brisket, tracing the intricate patterns in the marbling with a practiced touch. The soft crackle of the fire in the background adds to the reverent atmosphere, each movement deliberate, as if revealing secrets hidden within the meat. Amos, serene with a deep, almost mystical voice.
The marbling shows a path of great challenge, but also of unity. You must hold steadfast to your faith, and the divine will guide you through the trials ahead.
Amos, a man with graying hair and a solemn expression, is more than just a pitmaster. He's a symbol of wisdom and continuity. His hands, rough and scarred from years at the smoker, handle the meat with the care of a priest handling sacred texts. As followers receive his words, they leave with renewed purpose, believing that the marbled pathways reveal glimpses of the divine plan.
They say Amos can see the future in the marbling. It's like he's connected to something higher.
As the ritual unfolds with each new follower, the enigma of Amos grows. He is the spiritual core of the Holy Brisket, his presence a blend of comfort and mystery, guiding his people with a wisdom that contrasts sharply with the Brotherhood's more pragmatic ways. Under the cover of darkness, the Brotherhood puts their plan into action. The night is thick with tension as a small group of bikers, led by Roxy and Tank, head out to disrupt the Holy Brisket's supply lines. The only sounds are the crunch of gravel underfoot and the occasional creak of leather as they move. Roxy, whispering, her voice steady but tense.
All right, let's make this quick. We mess with their deliveries, cut a few lines, just enough to slow 'em down and make 'em sweat.
Tank, smirking, though his voice carries a hint of reluctance.
They'll know it was us, but they won't be able to prove a damn thing.
As they work swiftly and silently, Roxy's mind drifts back to her grandfather, the man who taught her everything she knows about brisket. She can almost hear his voice, a gruff whisper in her ear. Respect the meat, respect the craft. She shakes the thought away, focusing on the task at hand. But a seed of doubt has been planted. The bikers return to the hotel under the cover of darkness, their mission successful. But the tension remains high, particularly for Roxy, who can't shake the feeling that they're edging closer to a line that once crossed can't be uncrossed. The next day, the Holy Brisket camp buzzes with frantic energy, the air filled with the bustling of worried followers. Their anxious murmurs blend with the rustling of ruined supplies and the clatter of delayed deliveries. Amidst the chaos, Zeke's commanding voice rises above the noise, cutting through the din. Standing tall, his face remains a mask of calm, though a flicker of deep concern flashes in his eyes as he gathers his shaken community. Zeke, resolute but with an undercurrent of frustration.
This is an attempt to break our spirit, to divert us from our mission. But we will not be swayed. We will persevere, and we will overcome.
Amos watches from the edge of the crowd, his expression unreadable. He senses the unrest among the followers, the doubt creeping into their minds. but he also sees the determination in Zeke's stance, the way the community rallies around him, despite the fear of further attacks.
What if they come again? What if it gets worse?
We are stronger than they think. Together, we can rebuild, and we will not let them tear us down. We must trust in our faith, in the sacred smoke that unites us.
The community, though rattled, finds strength in Zeke's words. But beneath the surface, anxiety simmers, and the fear of what might come next lingers like the smoke from their disrupted rituals. Back at the Brisket Hotel Oasis, the Brotherhood convenes under the low hum of quiet murmurs and the creak of chairs as they lean in, close to discuss. The distant rumble of motorcycles echoes outside, a constant reminder of their unity. Inside, the room feels smaller tonight, the walls seeming to close in as they weigh the consequences of their actions. Iron Duke's anger has not diminished, but there's a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes as he addresses his crew. Iron Duke, firm but with a hint of hesitation.
We've hit them hard, but they're not backing down. If we go after their facilities, we need to be ready for any fallout.
Roxy, determined, but her voice carries a note of caution.
We need to send a clear message. No more games. We are the masters of Brisket, and they need to respect that. But we also got to be sure this is the right move. Once we go down this road, there's no turning back.
Tank, usually quiet, leans forward, his voice low and measured. The flickering light casts deep shadows across his face, making his expression hard to read.
I still ain't sure about this, Duke. We're pushing it too far. We've always stood tall 'cause we respected the code. If we start messing with their stuff, we ain't better than them. We gotta ask ourselves, is this really who we want to be?
A heavy silence falls over the room, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Duke looks around at his crew, reading the uncertainty in their eyes, but also the resolve. The decision hangs in the air, waiting for his word. Iron Duke, after a long pause, resolute.
We strike hard and fast. They need to know we mean business, but Tank's right. We do this clean. No unnecessary damage, no crossing the line. We stay true to who we are.
The Brotherhood agrees, but the weight of their choice is palpable. As they prepare for their next move, the risk of escalation looms large, and the line between defense and aggression begins to blur. In the aftermath of the sabotage, the Holy Brisket community gathers to plan their recovery. Murmuring voices fill the small, dimly lit room, accompanied by the rustle of papers and the clinking of tools as the advisors discuss their next steps. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and freshly turned earth, laced with the palpable determination and subtle undertones of fear. Zeke stands at the center, his presence steady as he leads his trusted advisors through the uncertainty. Amos, determined.
We need to secure new supplies. I know a few local farmers who might help us out, even on short notice. And we should ramp up our security. No more easy targets for the Brotherhood. We can't afford another hit like this.
Zeke, resolute, but with an edge of weariness.
Agreed. Let's also increase our outreach. We need to strengthen our community, bring in new blood, make sure everyone knows we won't be intimidated.
As the advisors leave to carry out their tasks, Zeke lingers behind, the weight of leadership pressing down on him. Amos steps forward, his presence a calm amidst the storm.
Be careful, Zeke. The path ahead is fraught with challenges, and not all of them can be seen in the marbling. Trust your instincts, but don't ignore the signs.
I won't, Amos, but we can't afford to show weakness now.
As Zeke and Amos part ways, the community rallies, each member taking on tasks to ensure their faith and rituals continue unabated. But the cracks in their unity are beginning to show, and the fear of what might come next hangs heavy in the air. Meanwhile, the Brotherhood intensifies their efforts, sending a spy into the Holy Brisket camp to gather intelligence. The quiet rustle of leaves, the soft crunch of footsteps, and hushed whispers accompany the spy's cautious movements. The night is thick with tension, every sound amplified in the stillness as the spy blends into the shadows, slipping silently among the community's tents and smokers. Spy, whispering to self, tension in her voice.
Let's see what they're up to.
The spy creeps closer to the center of the camp, where Zeke and his advisors are deep in discussion. The air is thick with the scent of smoked meat and earth, the crackling of a nearby fire, the only cover for their movements. As the spy listens, their heart races, each word caught more valuable than gold. But the spy's luck is about to run out. The muffled sounds of Zeke's voice, the crackle of fire, and the rustle of leaves fill the air when suddenly a twig snaps underfoot. Heads turn in unison. The spy freezes, holding their breath, every muscle tensing as they wait to see if they've been discovered. Zeke, voice sharp, cutting through the night.
Who's there?
The spy narrowly avoids detection, slipping back into the shadows just as a group of followers approach. But the close call leaves her rattled, the fear of discovery burning in her chest as she makes her way back to the Brotherhood with the gathered intelligence. In a secluded barn on the outskirts of town, a secret meeting takes place between a defector from the Holy Brisket and the Brotherhood. The barn is old, its wooden beams creaking under the weight of years, the air thick with the scent of hay and oil. The dim light barely cuts through the darkness, casting long shadows on the faces of those gathered. Defector, nervously, voice trembling.
I don't agree with everything Zeke's doing. I'm here to help. But you need to promise protection. I can't go back to them if this goes south.
Iron Duke, grimly with a hint of skepticism.
You'll get protection, but you better have something worth our time. Tell us everything you know, no holding back.
The defector, a young man with wide eyes and a jittery demeanor, spills valuable information about the Holy Brisket's plans. Details that could shift the balance in the Brotherhood's favor. But as he speaks, Roxy watches him closely, her instincts screaming that there's more to his story than he's letting on. Roxy, leaning in, her voice low and probing.
And what's your angle in all this? Why turn on your own people?
I don't believe in their cause anymore. It's too much. I didn't sign up for this kind of fight.
Roxy exchanges a glance with Duke, her suspicions not entirely quelled. But for now, they'll take what they can get. As the defector finishes his tale, the Brotherhood's strategy begins to take shape, but so too does the risk of betrayal. To bolster morale and show their resilience, the Holy Brisket hosts a grand festival, inviting the local community to join in the celebration. The field is alive with energy, the air filled with the scent of grilled meat, laughter, and the sound of children playing. Banners flutter in the breeze, bearing the emblem of the Holy Brisket, a sacred symbol that binds the community together. Zeke, energetically addressing the crowd.
Welcome, everyone. Today we celebrate not just the brisket, but our unity and strength. Let's show the world that nothing can break our spirit.
The festival is a huge success, drawing in new followers and strengthening community bonds. Zeke moves through the crowd, shaking hands and sharing words of encouragement. But beneath his confident exterior, the weight of leadership presses heavy on him. He knows the Brotherhood won't stop, and the thought of what might come next lingers like a dark cloud on the horizon.
They can try to bring us down, but we've got the faith and the flavor.
As the day draws to a close, Zeke takes a moment to himself, watching the sunset over the fields. The celebration has been a success, but the looming threat of the Brotherhood hangs over him, a reminder that the battle is far from over. Back at the Brisket Hotel Oasis, the Brotherhood prepares for their next strike. The low hum of engines, the clinking of metal, and murmured conversations filled with anticipation replace the usual sounds of laughter and grilling. The courtyard is now a hive of focused activity, the air thick with the scent of motor oil and tension, as each member keenly feels the weight of what's at stake. Roxy, to Iron Duke, her voice low and serious.
We're ready. But Duke, are we really sure about this? We're taking things to a whole new level here.
Iron Duke, determined, though a shadow of doubt crosses his face.
We strike hard and fast. They need to know we ain't playing games anymore, but we gotta be ready for whatever comes after. No turning back now.
The Brotherhood's resolve is clear, but the unspoken fear of escalation looms large over their plans. As the final preparations are made, the line between defense and aggression blurs even further, and the tension among them grows thicker with each passing moment. As night falls, Zeke takes a moment alone by the campfire, the warmth of the flames a stark contrast to the chill in the air. The sky above is a blanket of stars, but Zeke's thoughts are heavy, the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him like a burden he's no longer sure he can carry. Zeke, softly to himself, his voice tinged with weariness.
We've come so far, but the road ahead is perilous. We must stay true to our faith, no matter the cost. But at what point does faith become foolishness?
Zeke sits by the fire, its soft crackle the only sound in the night. His gaze is fixed on the flames, eyes narrowed as if trying to draw answers from their shifting dance. The steady confidence he once carried now wavers, a shadow of doubt flickering across his face. The weight of the conflict presses down on him, and for the first time, the flames offer no comfort, only more questions.
We'll face whatever comes, just like we always have. But I pray we're not heading down a path we can't return from.
The night deepens, the campfire flickering in the wind as Zeke sits in silence, alone with his thoughts. The stage is set for a dramatic confrontation, and as the tension between the Holy Brisket and the Brisket Brotherhood escalates, the true test of resolve and tradition looms on the horizon. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Holy Brisket, where the embers of conflict ignite into a blazing showdown. End of Episode 3.
In the heart of Texas where the fires burn bright, to try and stand ready on the edge of the fight. The Holy Brisket's calling like a beacon in the dark, but the Brotherhood's ruling and not even their mark. The smoke rises through the ash, black blood ready for the flash. Smoke and mirrors, it's a game of deceit. In the heat of the night they both rise to compete through the fire and the flames. In the shadow of the blade, smoke and mirrors where legends are made. Zeke stands tall, but the fire's in his eyes. A leader bound by faith, no room for compromise. Iron Duke is stirring with fury in his soul as the angels roar louder, they're losing control. Smoke and mirrors, it's a game of deceit. In the heat of the night they both rise to compete through the fire when the smoke starts to clear. Both sides are shaking, but they won't show fear. The road ahead is paved with fire and pain, but in the ashes there rise again. Under odds we cast the rain, but I am strong to break every chain. Smoke and mirrors, it's a game of deceit. In the heat of the night they both rise to compete. Through the fire and the flames, in the shadow of the blade. Smoke and mirrors where legends are made. Smoke and mirrors as the echoes fade away. Two tribes on the brink in the light of day. But the story's not over, the battle's just begun. In the land of the brisket, only one can be the one.
We are the Story Brothers, and we invite you to join us on an extraordinary journey into the world of storytelling and AI. Together, we'll delve into an endless sea of stories, ideas, and topics, pushing the boundaries of imagination with the power of generative AI. Our mission? To see just how far we can take these tales. Intrigued? If you like what you hear, please share our adventure. Got requests or feedback? Don't be a stranger, we'd love to hear from you. Cheers to new beginnings and endless possibilities.